Hello everyone, Rurikhan here coming at you with another First Impressions video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Dark-Eyed Demonicon. Now this was actually a game that I got to see while I was at Gamescom, and it kind of spiked my interest at the time, and the good gentleman over at Calypso Media saw fit to send me a key to perform a somewhat of a review of the game. I actually played the game through all the way, which is something that is not usual in a lot of the games that I do First Impressions on. I just thought that I would like to go ahead and check out the entirety of the story of the game to really have a better grasp on how I feel about it. And yeah, about that. Let me just pull up the game, shall I? And let's get started discussing that way. Okay. So this is Dark-Eyed Demonicon. This is one of my save games. And speaking of save games, I have a big issue with the way that this game handles saves, because I wanted to save a couple of my save games so that I could show them to you guys in this particular video, and lo and behold, there is no save game feature. I had noticed this from the start, and I was okay with it because it seemed to me like the game was actually doing a good job of pretty much managing these saves for me. It actually does auto-saving pretty well, and you usually don't have to do a lot of stuff in between checkpoints, so to speak. The problem turned out being, as I was going through the saves and playing a little bit through them so that I could decide which one I was going to show, it started replacing my previous saves. I've actually already lost my last save of the game here, which was a little bit disappointing, but yeah, it's a pain in the ass, the fact that you can't just manually save. But either way, for your first playthrough, if you're just playing through the game, it shouldn't be much of a problem. Now, if you guys look at the user interface, it's pretty simple. You got that bar over there on top. Usually when you're fighting, you will get to see this as well. The thing that you guys see on the left side there on the bottom left corner, that is actually like a shortcut that you can put potions and tonics, and you can assign those by going to the potion bag here, and let's say I want to put Volatile Wound Balm to one of the buttons there. Now Volatile Wound Bomb would be if I would press up on the D-pad, for instance. So that is what those shortcuts are. There are also going to be other shortcuts that you will have access to, but those will only appear when you are in combat. Now you will notice that there are 3 bars beneath the character. So the first bar is your health. Obviously when that reaches 0, you're going to die. The green bar is your stamina. That allows you to perform special attacks. It does not affect rolling. You will see me do a lot of rolling because I didn't really like the game's parry system. And the blue bar is essence, which in all, basically if you want to look for an equivalent to essence, it's basically mana. And the interesting thing about this character is that he leeches mana off of enemies. So you can be constantly casting spells, assuming that you're always in the thick of battle, dishing out damage. Speaking of damage, let's go ahead and do some of that, shall we? So just to kind of situate you guys a little bit, we're going into kind of like the slums area of the city of Warunk, because there is an attack ongoing right now, and our family is right in the middle of it. So we want to go ahead and save our family, in this case, our father and sister. So let's go ahead and do that, shall we? This guy's going to raise a little bit of a bone wall here, and then he's going to run away, which is interesting because he actually ran.
Demonic magic. Hang on, Calandra.
He actually ran to the direction of another bone wall. I wonder how the hell he got away. Either way, here we go. This is combat now. So the combat is very simple. Basically, you press square, square attacks your enemies. Now, the thing that's interesting about the game is the game uses a combo system. And the reason why this combo system is important is because once you reach 10 in your combo meter there, what's going to happen is if you have full essence, every hit that you make on your enemies is actually going to leech life. Now, the thing is, you cannot mash buttons, because if you mash buttons, the combo simply doesn't roll. Don't ask me why. I guess it was programmed that way, but as you can see right now, my combo is not growing at all, despite the fact that I was constantly striking on that guy. Like, for instance, here, again, you want to see? 1, I'm spamming, 1, 1, constantly breaking the combo if you button mash. Now, if you don't button mash, if instead you just go ahead and slash, 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 slash. See there? This is no longer button mashing. This is me just like, you know, pacing out my button presses. And that is actually the way the combo system works. And I was a little bit, what's the point? As long as you're not getting hit, who cares if you're spamming the buttons or not? But apparently it's important for them. Something else that you will have noticed as we go through this group of mobs here is that every single time that your sword connects with a monster, it is going to do that little slow up. And I've mentioned this in my previous video that I noticed this when I was at Gamescom, and I was like, I'm hoping that they're only going to do that for important attacks. But no, important attacks just get an even bigger slowdown. And it's like, this gets a little bit old, and a lot of times it actually makes your character, it makes it hard to control your character because you're constantly slowed down, and it just gets old really, really fast. But, I mean, I've just been doing basic attacks. That's not all you can do. You also have an array of special attacks. Now, as you guys know me, I'm usually pretty much a metagamer when I get to RPGs. So obviously I studied out the attacks that I wanted to use throughout the game, and I've invested all of my points into those specific attacks. So now let me show you those. Oh, here's another annoyance. You guys noticed that we came from over there, right? Invisible wall. Oh, wait, no. Interesting. I've been stuck in invisible walls like that a couple of times, but looks like this one wasn't one of them. Either way, let me go ahead and show you guys the special attacks that are available. So if you press L1 on my controller, which would be the left shoulder button, it is going to switch for your melee attacks. Those are my 3 melee attacks. This is an attack that builds up combo. As you can see, it counted as 2 hits. This is my damage dealing attack, which is reminiscent of Achilles' attack in the movie Troy, if you guys remember that. It even has a similar sound every now and then. It doesn't always do the sound. I don't really know why. And then the other attack that I have is called a roundhouse, which is basically like a spinning attack. I'll try and do that now. There you go. That is the other attack. So those are the 3 attacks that I chose to specialize myself in. The skill tree actually allows you to have different attacks if you choose to go with a mace. I actually chose to go with a sword because I was going for a hit and run style because I was having a little bit of problems with the combat. Not anymore, obviously, but there you go. That particular attack that I did there, which is the attack that you see there on the X, that attack is Mortal Blow, or whatever the hell you call it. And the thing about that attack is that it deals 2 wounds on the enemies, which means it usually leaves them bleeding, and on top of the fact that it does a ton of damage. So that is the reason why I wanted that attack, because if I'm having problems with an enemy, I can run up to him and just basically smack him and then run away. Now, as you probably noticed by now, the game's graphics, they're not great. They do the job. I mean, they're certainly not next-generation graphics, which I believe was something they said that they were doing the very first time this game was announced. But still, they do the job, although I have to say that every now and then you will get some texture pop in, which is kind of annoying because you can tell that that is more of an issue with optimization than anything else. But either way, let's continue through the story here. If you guys notice, that little bar over there at the top, that basically indicates where you're supposed to be going for your next main quest objective. You're still free to explore around, look around stuff. Like, for instance, you can go over here, examine this. The Necromancer Totem displays an eerie grin. It is positioned right in front of your family's tent. Is it aimed at you? Do people blame you for the fact that the refugees are being mistreated and slaughtered? That is part of a decision that I've made in the past. The game actually has you making a whole bunch of decisions, and they are never like black and white decisions. These are always morally gray decisions that you have to take. Either way, we're going to go into a bit of a cutscene here. It's not like a big cutscene. It's just going to be a little bit of dialogue, which will allow me to show you guys the voice acting quality as well as the writing and all that stuff.
Calandra, father, are you all right?
We're doing fine, Chiron.
This hut won't take this for long. With you here, we can try and break out.
What the hell's happened?
The attack came suddenly. We were lucky that we rescued the others.
Lucky is an understatement. Right now, they're shredding everything alive out there. The undead are coming from all directions.
Then there must be several sources, summoning circles, necromancers' work.
We need to head for the Prios Temple. It's easiest to defend.
Consecrated ground. If we're lucky, the Sun God's blessing will stop the undead. Let's go.
Alone? And what about the people here? They're refugees too, just like us.
Okay, so something that I wanted to call out attention is the fact that the game is not very consistent when it comes to the faces of characters. Like, if you look right now, you're looking at the face of the main character. It is extremely detailed, and it doesn't really have any visible issues. Now, when you're talking sometimes with some of the NPCs, a lot of the times I found myself even wondering, did the textures actually load for this guy's face? I mean, for instance, I'm just going to pick a random topic here, and I'm probably going to get a reply from the group of people that is there. I want you guys to place special attention to one of the characters that is on the leftmost side of the screen. I mean, the rightmost side of the screen, and he's like the middle of one of those characters that's in the background, and you will see that his face is like so smooth, it looks like he's got no textures at all.
And just where exactly is Folk? Aren't Daeons supposed to deal with the undead?
Stop it, Chiron. We don't
Look at the one
know
next to
where
the
they're
pole.
fighting the undead here in the camp.
Right, we don't know. All we know is that I didn't see a single Rondrian on the way here. Not one!
Right. We don't even know if the Prior's temple is even still consecrated.
Stop it, both of you! At least the temple is easy to defend.
Let's just go.
Anyways, the voice acting, as far as I can tell, throughout most of the game is pretty passable, but the animations throughout some of these cutscenes leave a little bit to be desired. As a matter of fact, the animations in general are not that great. Like, usually, I will not have big issues with graphics. You guys know me, I don't care that much about graphics. As long as the game is running at 1080p and doesn't have tremendous slow-ups or whatever, I'm fine. But I would really like to see a touch-up in animations, because the animations are not that great. Either way, let's go
The undead could
ahead
attack
and
at
leave.
any moment. We have to go.
I will not leave these people here. I don't want the blood of any more innocents on my hands. And not on your hands either, Chiron.
Chiron, go ahead. You hack your way through the worst of it, and we'll follow with the refugees.
From one summoning circle to the next, if I catch a necromancer, I destroy his circle and you follow. It's the tougher path, but there's less danger if we meet them head-on than in having them follow us.
Let's go.
Let me see if I can actually get a better look at that one character that I was talking about. Yeah, see the guy there in the middle? It's almost like he doesn't even have any textures on his face. Now I can actually see some things, but I don't know. I just feel that there could have been a little bit more detail in some of these faces. But then again, I don't want to overanalyze that particular aspect of it, because one of the things that I also noticed as I was doing a little bit of research on the title is that it seems to me that this is more of a budget title, not necessarily something that you would really pitch up against AAA titles like, say, Dragon Age or Skyrim or whatever your RPG of choice happens to be. You really don't want to pitch this up against those guys. Also, the studio responsible for this particular title is Numina Studios, and I was doing a little bit of a background check on them, and this is the only game that I have found to their name. So this is actually the first game that these guys have ever made. So, I mean, I don't want to be too mean, so to speak, to them. So it's like, you guys can see on screen, the animations are not amazing. They still do their job, kind of. The graphics also not amazing.
What have you found?
A severed hand. Leftovers from the storming of the armory.
Severed body parts as a sacrifice for the invocation of a demon.
The only one who really comes into question is Thalgunitoth, archdemon of the undead.
The Dark Mother.
Stop it, both of you. Anyone naming names is playing with their soul.
As if that ever stopped you, Father.
This is something else, Calandra. You don't understand.
Don't think for a minute that you can keep fobbing me off with that old line.
Right, let's keep moving. We still haven't caught all the necromancers.
As I was saying, the graphics aren't amazing either. They do their job. The animations, they're not that great. I really wish that the animations were a little bit better, but still, they kind of do their job. What else? Voice acting, like I've mentioned, it's passable. In some occasions, it's actually good. There's also several occasions throughout the game where it's not that good. I mean, there's a boss at the very start of the game, a cannibal boss, and when he screams, it's just like someone saying, "Ugh," and I was like, I don't know. Either way, let's keep going here. I'm going to show you guys a little bit more of gameplay. There's usually a lot of details that you can actually look at as you go through the scenery. Okay, here we have a couple more zombies. I'm playing this in normal difficulty, by the way. I'm going to buff myself here. This is actually a spell that I have that buffs my character. He is now a lot faster, and he moves faster as well. As you can see there. I also have another spell, which is this thing. This pretty much freezes your enemies, and as you level up the spell further, you're going to be able to freeze groups of enemies instead of just one at a time, which makes it actually a really good spell. I'm going to go ahead and buff myself again with speed. Attack speed is really, really good, especially after you start mastering the combo system. We're surrounded here, so we're going to do the roundhouse, going to do the slashing attack there. So yeah, once you start mastering the combat system, the combat is a little bit satisfying, if not for the fact that there is currently one big problem with the combat. I suspect this is most likely going to be patched.
A piece of amber. The sacred stone of the sun god Prios.
Blackaraz. Definitely the Lord of Vengeance. He's the only one anyone would offer up a piece of amber to in order to facilitate the invocation.
You mean the sun god, Prios' nemesis? What would he have to do with summoning undead?
Maybe that explains why they were able to attack during the day without turning to dust.
The light-shunning rabble.
Don't be silly. This just doesn't fit. We'll need to find the mastermind if we want to know more. If Blackaraz is involved, someone is out for revenge. But when he starts summoning undead at the same time, he's out to divert attention from something else. Something bigger.
Oh, then it has to be a Borberadian, Father. With them, nothing is ever the way it seems.
Find that funny, do you? You find that funny, you silly fool?
Come, Father, calm down. We need to get going. Now, if we find him and he really is a Borberadian, you can have the finishing blow.
You are fools, children. Happy fools.
As I was saying, there is actually a problem in combat, which I will show you later on in the video. But something that I've also noticed is that the first time that I came here, I was struggling a little bit with these fights, but now...
At least one summoner must still be alive.
But now it's actually, now that I've mastered the combo system a little bit better, it's actually being pretty easy. This isn't, like I've mentioned previously, this is in normal difficulty. I switched it up to normal because I was actually having a couple of issues with the combat. But once I started mastering the combo system, which, like I said, it does take a bit to master because you have to time your hits a little bit precisely, not just spam. You also have this ranged attack, which I can shoot these ninja stars, which I sometimes use to basically chain the combos together because, like I said, it is very useful to keep combos going. I'm going to go ahead and buff myself here. A little bit of speed. These guys that dodge are really, really annoying. Let's go ahead. Freeze. Slice, slice, slice. Now, like I said, one of the problems with the combat is this slow-mo thing. I mean, it does get annoying. Like, you want to see this? And this one, this one. Wow. All of a sudden, it doesn't do the slow-mo anymore, just to prove me wrong. Either way, you guys get the idea pretty much of how the combat works. I think that now we're going to go into another talking sequence.
What the hell's happened here?
One less necromancer. One more demonic sacrifice. An executioner's sword with a lioness coat of arms on it.
A Rondrian weapon as an offering in an undead summoning. That's strange. The war goddess's demonic opponents have nothing to do with revenants.
Right. That summoning must have been directed at some other demon than the archdemon Thargunitoth. The undead have been called independently of this summoning. Besides Rondra's nemesis Belhalha, I'd say Blackaraz, the Lord of Vengeance, would probably be a good guess. Executioner swords are often sacrificed to him.
How come you know so much about demons?
You picked these things up over the years. Chiron, weren't you in a hurry? There's still a good way to the Prios Temple.
Okay, so now we're supposed to go to the Prios Temple. At the Prios Temple, there's going to be another dialogue. I'm not sure I want to show you guys that particular dialogue. Instead, we're going to be going on, and I wanted to show you guys a different portion of the game here. Now, something that I wanted to show you is, like I said, one of the things that's missing in this game is polish. The game needs a lot more polish, and I feel that the team that did the QA analysis on the game maybe didn't do their jobs all that well, because I mean, this is pretty early on in the game. The boss that I'm about to show you right now, this is at the 3-hour mark, more or less. For those of you who are curious, the game lasted me for about 10 hours and a half, and I tend to take things very slow.
Get your things out of here, now! Hurry, it won't be much longer.
So now you're about to see what I meant by lack of polish. This boss fight really pissed me off, because I mean, for starters, you guys can see that little bit of a frame drop there, but now that the boss is properly loaded, look at this. So the boss is there, now he disappears, he's somewhere else, disappears again, and it's like, it's not even that he's teleporting, he's just literally disappearing. There's no animation for him leaving, and he just appears. I mean, look at that. There's no... It's just so weird. I can't even explain it. Now he goes up in the air. Music stops. He throws those boulders. Now the music resumes. I mean, this is just like... It's a complete lack of polish. For starters, that boss needed to have better animations. There needed to be some kind of an explanation. I mean, not necessarily an explanation, but... I don't know. I don't even know why he went up in the air. I wasn't even doing that much damage to him, so I'm not entirely sure of what was up with that particular portion of the fight. I'm dodging these things here. Like I said, there's also a parry mechanic. I'm going to try and parry the boss next time he comes at me. So this is parry. You have to wait until a button shows up, and then you have to press it. But the thing with parry is that it's not... I mean, look at that. It just looks glitched. And parry is just not reliable at all. You guys saw me try parry there for like a half an hour, and I wasn't able to get a single parry off. So I totally gave up on parry pretty early on. And then we have this boss. Just look at him. He's going to be teleporting all over the screen. And the thing is, he doesn't have the animation for teleporting all across the screen. It's just so weird. Either way, this is one of the glitches that I found. Next, I wanted to show you another glitch. I mean, I don't want to fight this particular boss because he's really not that big of a deal. I'm just gonna load a random. Save game here. Where was this one? Flesh and Blood. Oh yeah, this is right near the end. Interestingly enough, actually no, I'm not even gonna mention what I was gonna say because it's a little bit of a spoiler. But I'm just going to go to this level, which is pretty near the end of the game. But I'm not going to show you guys any spoilers or anything like that. I just wanted to show you something that I found out about the combat. Now let's go ahead and go into here. There should be some demons coming my way pretty soon. Okay, so here's the thing. I figured out this particular skill, the skill that I was using to buff myself, right? I figured out that if you leveled it all the way to the maximum level, it actually gave you a shield. Now, I haven't really activated the skill yet, so that you guys can see. Look how much damage these guys are going to do to me. Not really that much. Come on, the big guys should be attacking me. There you go. See, they're actually doing a good amount of damage. I mean, not that much, but they're still doing decent damage. Bear in mind that my armor is like upgraded to the friggin' max, and it's like a beast mode of an armor. Either way, here's what I'm going to do. Boom, look at this now. Now they do 0 damage. Not only do they do 0 damage, I can basically attack super fast because that's what this buff does. And by attacking super fast, since I have Mana Leech, like I told you guys at the start of the game, the character has Mana Leech. You guys noticed there I spent a lot of mana. Now I'm going to start comboing on them. Look at that mana grow. Right? And here's the thing. There's no cooldown on this skill, so like I'm invulnerable. Oh, look at that. I just resetted the timer on the invulnerability. I'm invulnerable again. Now I'm going to keep attacking you, and I'm still invulnerable. I'm going to put myself invulnerable again just because I can. You know what I mean? This is a big problem. This needs to get patched because otherwise, what's the point? I mean, look at this. This is how I finished the game because, like, there is no challenge. I wanted to have the skill that maximized my attack speed, and this is what ended up happening because the skill comes with the shield. Like, oh, they actually broke my shield. Wow, for a second there, I might actually be threatened. Oh, never mind. And it's really easy if I actually pay attention to what I'm doing instead of just mindlessly spamming buttons. It's really easy to regain that mana that I just spent. Like, for instance, I can do this attack, smack. I'm like damn near full mana again. So basically, for about the last third of the game, I was invulnerable. Nothing could deal damage to me. And it was a little bit frustrating, I have to admit, because I was just like, well, I mean, I don't know, did I break the game? I don't know what happened. So as you can see, there are definitely some glitches in the game, like I've showed you that particular boss that I had issues with. There's also this particular problem with the combat and whatnot. So does that mean that the game is really like a bad game and just a cash grab or something? No, I honestly don't believe that. Here's the thing, like I said, this is a game that is the studio's first game. So I don't think that they're trying to rip people off or anything like that. I just think that they tried doing too much and they got overwhelmed and they weren't able to test everything. Like maybe people weren't using this skill. Speaking of skills, after I'm done with these particular guys over here, I'm going to show you guys my skill tree. So let's go into character management. Okay. So in this game, you have a pretty complex set of rules in order to create your character. Now, for those of you that are familiar with the Dark Eye rule set, maybe some of this stuff is familiar to you. I am not. Dark Eye is kind of like the Dungeons and Dragons of Germany. So it's supposedly pretty popular, even though I only heard about it when I went to Gamescom this year. But it is supposed to be pretty popular. So how does this work? So here you have your character's stats. You have strength. Strength influences pretty much your damage and your base attack. I'm not exactly sure what the attack is supposed to be. I guess you can go over here and see. Attack value increases the effectiveness of offensive combat moves. Okay, so basically it would increase the effectiveness of that mortal blow move I told you about, or the roundhouse. So your base damage for your basic attacks, excuse me, as well as your damage for the attack moves. Then you have agility, which affects your PA. I'm not exactly sure what the PA value is. I mean, there's just so much stuff. Okay, PA is parry, like I told you guys. I didn't like the way that parry worked in the game. That's why I never bothered with this. Critical hits, not really a big deal. I'd rather just do a ton of damage every time. Then Constitution is going to increase the amount of wounds you can sustain because there's like a wounding mechanic that you can get, like where you bleed, where you're poisoned, stuff like that. And this pretty much increases the health you have as well as your ability to sustain those wounds. And then Courage increases the amount of Endurance and Essence. Endurance and Essence being the two, as you can see by the colors there, being the two resources that you have to do the physical attacks as well as the magical attacks. Now you can level these things up by investing action points. You gain action points as you kill monsters, as you complete quests. You can see my total number of action points over there on the bottom left corner. And it seems I've actually reached the maximum of strength. Yeah, I'm at the highest level of strength, but I can still level up Courage, or I can level up Constitution. As you can see, all I gotta do is press, you invest a point, and I get more health, more wounds, and all that stuff. Either way, I'm gonna decrease this now. And then you have these things here, which I would consider to be skills. Like, for instance, you have Cleverness. Now, this is pretty weird because I only really realized how this stuff worked, like, I don't know, 2/3 into the game or something like that. So if I level Cleverness, it's going to level these two skills over here. that being legend lore as far as plant lore. Now, the thing that's weird is that you can actually level them up individually as well. Now, whoops, I actually want to unlearn all this stuff. How do I decrease? Okay, there we go. And the reason why I realized that is because I was focusing everything I want that I had for the skills in dexterity, because it basically allowed me to pick locks as well as disarm traps and improve weapons and all that stuff, right? So I was focusing all I had into this thing, and I didn't notice that you could level up the individual skills themselves. So I got the 21, and when you get to 21, like, your rank over there is going to be like 3 for both skills, and I was like, I'm getting stuff all over the place that's like rank 4 and 5, and I can't level dexterity up anymore. What's wrong? And then I realized, oh, you can actually level this up to 7, and I wasn't aware of that. So basically, I then realized that you can actually level these as well. These are going to cost less than the ones on the left, but the ones on the left are going to level both the skills in that section, whereas if you invest in one specific skill, you're only going to level that particular skill. So bear that in mind. Also, if you are a Dark Eye fan and you are getting this game because of the Dark Eye lore that is involved in the game, I would definitely advise you to invest in this legend lore thing, because I was not able to read half of the stuff that showed up in the game because I had absolutely no legend lore, because I was going all min-max for combat. Another very important thing that you might want to consider getting is this fast talk, because it opens up a lot more conversation options that I was not able to get until the end of the game, because only at the end of the game I decided that this was actually a pretty important skill to have. So bear that in mind. Now, there are more things. These are just like passive stats, right, that you're going to be able to level up through action points. Then there are attacks that you're going to be able to level up through action points. This is the Mortal Blow that I told you guys about. This is the Roundhouse that I told you guys about. And you can then also assign those attacks to different buttons, as you can see here. Oops, I just messed that up. There we go. And then there's also special attacks if you want to go with maces instead of swords. Regardless of which path you take, you're always going to have one-handed weapons. There are no two-handed weapons, and there is no dual wielding as far as I can see in the game. So it's always going to be one-handed weapons. All you can really pick is mace or sword. Then you have a couple of passive skills here for Master Parry. Like I said, I didn't like the parry skill, so I ended up not using any of this. And then we have dodge, and here's the thing that's weird, because like I put this thing in so that I could attack when I got out of a dodge roll, and then the other one, the next level of this, it's basically dodging strike now pushes the opponents back. And here's the thing, if this is a combo based system, the last thing I want to do is push my opponents back. I want to have my opponents close to me at all times. As a matter of fact, one of the things that really pissed me off is that whenever I did the Roundhouse, it pushed the opponents back when I wanted to keep them close to me so that I could keep hitting them all the time. As a matter of fact, it's kind of weird that it has so many things that push opponents back, like the Roundhouse, the dodging attacks, and then you have the Nova here, which if you look at the last level of the Nova, this is actually spells at this point, by the way, enemies are knocked back 4 meters, and it's like, why would I want that? I don't want them knocked back. I want them like close to me, which is why the spell that I ended up using the most is the Ice Lance 3, because it has a decent essence consumption, and it freezes a whole bunch of targets in place. And then you have the Demonic Aura, which is the spell that pretty much breaks the game, which is the one that my running and attack speeds are increased by 150% by 120 seconds, and a strong magic shield protects you, which pretty much makes me invulnerable for the duration of that shield. So they definitely need to do something about this particular Demonic Aura here. And also, if you notice, besides action points, we also have something which is GP, which is gift points. Your character has something which is called a Dark Gift, and whenever in fights you happen to use spells and stuff like that, on those fights you're going to gain more gift points. So depending on your style, you're going to get more action points so that you can focus more on the physical side of things, or you're going to get more gift points so that you can focus more on spells and stuff like that. But yeah, this is pretty much all of the leveling systems that you have in the game. This is pretty complex stuff, and you're most likely going to screw up your first character. Like, for instance, if I was to remake my character, I would not have put anything into Ice Lance 4. I would not have put Nova. I would have just stuck with Demonic Aura 4. But then again, I have an overflow of gift points, so it doesn't really matter. I could invest in Blight. It's just I don't happen to like that spell. So, yeah. I also have a kind of an overflow of points into the action points as well. I could level up some more stuff, like I could level up some charisma if I really wanted to, but this is pretty much at the end of the game, so it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But yeah, this is another one of the this is the mechanics of leveling up. There's another monster. Let's whack his face off. Freeze you. And kill you. Now, something that would be really cool would be if I would actually find a save point that had a really tough decision, but I don't think I have any of those. Actually, let me try loading up one of the very first mission, because there's no real story spoilers there, I don't think. Let's go through here and go to A Bride on the Run. Now, these decisions that I'm talking about, and this is actually one of the things that actually marked me most about the game, is the decisions that you have to make as you go through the game. Oh yeah, this is definitely a good one. So this is at the very start of the game, so I'm not really going to spoil anything in the story for you. But basically, your sister, this girl over here, she runs to this particular cave because she wants to stop a cannibal that's here, and that cannibal has kidnapped a couple of people and locked them behind the door. Basically behind the room that we can't get to unless we figure out how to open it, right? So I'm going to go through here, and as you can see, one of those objects that I told you about, Legend Lore, and since I don't have any rankings in Lore, I'm not going to be able to see that. And here we go.
You sick bastard!
Yeah, like I said, some of the animations need a little bit of work.
I'm gonna chop your head off so you never eat again.
And you see what I mean? These are the screams that I was talking about. The guys are like, whoa, whoa. Now, killing this guy is actually pretty simple, but it requires you to do a specific set of commands. Like, you want to hit him with the ice thing because it stuns him. And then you want to wail on him. Once again. Oops. What the hell happened there? He seems to be getting pissed off. Now, the thing that I wanted to see is if I actually had some gift points. Not enough. I wanted to just get the speed buff thing, but I can't get it this early in the game. And the only special attack I have is Mighty Blow, so it's not that amazing either. So the thing that I do is basically I Ice Lance him and just combo his face. As you can see in this section, I'm using a mace. And this is the Mighty Blow, which is the reason why I don't like it. It takes too long to wind up. And that is also the reason why I like Mortal Blow so much, is because Mortal Blow actually allowed me to get a little bit of distance in on my enemies. Now, as you notice, the boss actually goes up there and he starts throwing boulders at us. So you want to be careful about that. And the way to deal with him now is to basically throw spells at him. How you feeling, bro? You can actually throw the stars as well. Those don't really seem to do damage, though. And the reason why they give you so many monsters here is so that you can keep on leeching essence, because every hit you make is going to steal essence. Boom. Can I actually... Oh, damn it. Out of my face! Let's throw another spell there. He should be about to go down. There we go. One light surcoat.
Are you alright?
I was burned, bitten, and paralyzed. But I'm still a virgin, so I guess everything's in order. Kill him. He should suffer the same way the people he's eaten did.
If that's what you want, then put an end to it, and do it quickly. But know that all those whom I have already collected will die with me.
We're gonna open that door. I'm interested to see if it's harder than your head.
My supplies are bound to me by blood magic. I prefer them living. I am the only one who can release them. I can do that if you let me go, but if I die, they will die a slow and painful death. And don't even think of trying to capture me. I will leave this place a free man, or a dead one.
You can't ask us to decide that.
I do what I please. So, do we negotiate?
So as you can see, you now have a decision to make, and throughout the game they're going to throw you in several situations like this. And this is actually one of the things that I think is probably one of the strongest points in the game, because these are not easy decisions. A lot of times you will have these games where it's like, oh, now you can be mean or you can be goody two-shoes and there. And in this game, they give you decisions that are genuinely a pain in the ass. Like, for instance, let's go over here and let's see her opinion.
What should we do with him?
It could have been so easy. Kill the villain, save the innocent, and bask in the glory. Instead, we have to decide between letting all these people die or letting a cannibal go free. In the end, there is no right or wrong here, only the decision and its consequences.
So as you can see, basically you now have a decision.
Now run him through.
I know what I have to do.
So basically, if you spare him, he's got like 7 people or something in a cell somewhere in this cave. And if you spare him, those people get to live. But he goes free, which means he can actually go on and just slaughter a whole bunch of more people. If you kill him, those people that are locked in this cave, they're going to die. So their death is going to be on your conscience, but you're going to make sure that he's not going to kill anyone else. So as you can see, there is no right or wrong decision here. This is really like one of those decisions that I would genuinely, because when I'm playing RPGs, as you guys know, I like to get immersed into the universe that the game presented before me. So I would like to think, what would I do if I was in this situation? Would I condemn like 7, 10, however people he happens to have there, those people to die? Or would would I condemn those people to die by killing him, thus preventing him to hurt any more people? Or would I allow those people to live, but giving this guy the possibility of hurting a whole bunch of more people in the future? Because he's a cannibal. He's going to continue being a cannibal regardless of what you do. You see, those are the kind of decisions that you're going to be forced to make throughout the game a bunch of times. Now, what I did here is I actually killed the cannibal, and you guys will now see what happens after that.
You'll never eat again.
Go to hell!
Charon's blade slid into the cannibal's body with a moist, visceral sucking sound, and dark blood gushed onto the ground. The man-eater was vanquished, the danger over. Charon felt the magic power of that blood make its way inexorably to the cavern in which the prisoners languished. Long, agonizing screams of death echoed from dozens of throats through the corridors of Moloch Mountain. The cannibal had not lied. With his death, his victims too were obliterated. The siblings silently made their way back. News of the cannibal's end had spread in Warrant like wildfire. The refugee camp had paid the highest toll, and it was there that Charon and Calandra were celebrated for their courage. Some families, however, did not join the festivities. Too great was the grief and anger at their fathers and daughters having had to die so painfully.
Yeah, and whenever you make your decision, you're going to get a screen like that is going to influence, that is going to show you the consequences of your actions. Now, I'm going to skip through these next cutscenes here because I don't want to spoil any more of the story for you guys. This is just at the very start of the game. Like that particular quest that I just did, that is the first quest that you do in the game. So don't worry too much about spoilers or anything like that. So at the end of the day, what is Demonicon like? So, like I said, I feel that Demonicon is an effort from a team who tried really hard to do too many things. Like, they tried delivering a story from the Dark Eye universe. They tried doing it in a Mass Effect / Dragon Age style where you have to make these hard decisions and all that stuff. However, there are never any party members. You're always going to be playing by yourself. They tried doing action combat. They tried doing these prolonged cutscenes and with a lot of dialogue and all that stuff. And it's just, I feel that it's too much for a studio that's making their first game. Although I could be wrong, I don't know if that was the case or not. And eventually some of these bugs slipped through the cracks. Like, for instance, the boss that I fought, that I showed you guys, and he was just warping all over the place. The animations didn't make any sense for that boss, in my opinion, because he was just disappearing and reappearing without an animation. Then there's the combat glitch that I've shown you guys as well. Hopefully they will patch that by release, although I'm not sure. I am reviewing, I'm basically basing my review off of the date that I'm playing it, which is the 23rd of October. So I don't know if that has been patched in or not. I hope it's patched in, because right now that is just way too overpowered. And you know, there are those glitches there. The story itself, I've played all the way through the story, and I have to say the story was one of the things that kind of kept me going. It is not perfect, but it is a story that is kind of interesting. At least it got me personally interested. If you are a fan of the Dark Eye universe, you will most likely want to play the game, because I believe that some of this lore is going to become canon to the Dark Eye universe, so that's a thing. But at the end of the day, like I said, I do feel that they tried to tackle on too much, and they ended up failing to deliver on several aspects. There were times where I was fighting and I was incredibly frustrated because I would run into invisible walls. Like, I would be dodging enemies and trying to get away from them, and all of a sudden I'm up against an invisible wall and I would get surrounded. There are several instances in the game where that happened to me, and it was very, very frustrating. The combat is not perfect, but it serves its purpose. You guys saw there's some variety in there if you want to play with the other spells. But if you just want to go for the more effective way, I mean, why wouldn't you go for that demonic aura that I got and just rape through everything? So at the end of the day, whether or not you like this game depends a lot if you liked what you saw in the video. Me personally, I have to say, I mean, I kind of dug the story, even though the ending, I'm still not sure if I enjoyed the ending or not. I'm not going to give you guys any spoilers. But the story itself, it kind of kept me going. There are some influences definitely from other stories that I saw in the middle of there, but it was interesting, and it was interesting for my first dive into the Dark Eye universe. But once again, this video should help you make up your decision on whether or not you're interested in the game. As per usual, leave me your feedback, comments, all that kinds of good stuff. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.